Joshua Kaiser spent 16 years in prison. For a murder he didn't commit. While the real killer lived freely in Missouri. Watching an innocent teenager take the fall for his crime. On a call November. Night in 1992, Angela Michelle Lawless. 19, was brutally murdered and her body was discovered on a key exit ramp off Interstate 55. This case would come to highlight some of the most glaring flaws in the legal system. A young woman lost her life and an innocent man was wrongly imprisoned. The true killer nearly escaped justice entirely until December 2024 when advance in forensic science finally caught up with him. Angela Michelle Lawless lived a life that mirror the dream of many in small town America. Born on August 2, 1973 in Benton, Missouri, she grew up in a loving family and was affectionately known to those close to her simply a Michelle. At just 19, she stood barely 5 feet tall and weighed only 95 lbs. But her energy and determination more than made up for her small stature. Growing up in Benton wasn't just about the key rhythm of small town life. It was about belonging to a community. Michelle was more than just another face in town. She was a freshman at Southeast Missouri State University studying nursing with dream of a bright future in the medical field. Those who knew her weren't surprised by her choice to pursue nursing. For years, she volunteered at Candy Strip at Cap Girardeau Hospital and actively participated in numerous charity events. She had been a Girl Scout, earned a green belt in karate, and was never afraid to stand up for herself or others. Michelle graduated from Thomas Kelly High School in 1991, where she had also cheered for the basketball team. Michelle's presence was felt in every school hallway, and her graduation marked a step toward even bigger ambition. Those who knew her described a young woman whose smile could brighten anyone's day and whose determination made her destined to success. On the surface, her life seemed perfect, but beneath it were challenge that would later prove crucial in understanding the circumstance of her death. Tragically, Léon Lamb had been her boyfriend for 3 years, beginning when she was just 16. Her private diaries revealed that their relationship was far more complicated than the cheerful image they presented to the outside world. Michelle's life was heartbreakingly cut short en November 8 1992. Less than half a mile from her home. No one could have anticipated that the key neighborhood where she had grown up would soon be torn apart by question about who could commit such a terrible act against one of their own. Her Lyon. November 8 1992, a seemingly ordinary call would set in motion a story that would unfold over the next 30 years. On their way to work, Jerry and Ruth Usolde noticed something unusual. A car stopped at the top of the northbound exit 77 ramp from Interstate 55. The engine was running and the headlight pierced the darkness. Something about it felt wrong. So rather than investigating themselves, they reported it to the Benton Sheriff's Office. At 1h29 du matin. Réserve deputy Rick Walter and officer Roy Moore arrived at the scene. They were made by a 1986 Buick Somerset ETS. Engine the only sound breaking the Night. Officer more carefully opened the driver's side door, and the torch. Light revealed a scene that would haunt them for years. Michelle Lawlessley. Slouched over the center console, her head resting near the passenger seat. It was immediately clear this was no accident given the sheer amount of blood at the scene. Michelle had been struck multiple times with a baseball bat, then shot 3 times at point blank range. Once in the face, once in the back of the head, and once in the back. The crime scene was a harrowing display of extreme violence. But it was the broken element of the scene that began to reveal an even darker story. Investigator traced a trail of blood to a fence below the off-ramp and discovered a significant amount of blood on the ground along a flat slope. Her ring were still in the center console. Beneath her body, and her wallet remained in her purse under the passenger seat, effectively ruling out theft a motive. The fact that her socks were dirty while she wasn't wearing shoes spoke volume. The careful placement of her body and belonging suggested this was no accident. Michelle had likely been pushed from her car, perhaps after stopping to speak with someone she knew. The evidence painted a chilling picture. The window had been lowered just enough for her to talk, but not so much that it suggested she felt threatened at first. She had either run or been dragged down the slope where she suffered severe blow. Then the perpetrator did something unusual. Carried her back up to the car, leaving a bloody trail along the slope. Even more disturbing, police discovered blood and organic material under her nail that didn't belong to her. Evidence that she had fought fiercely to survive. 3 anti-bullet casing from a 380 caliber automatic pistol were found in the car, indicating that the killer wanted to make absolutely certain Michelle was dead. At 1h30 du matin, Mark Abbott arrived at the sheriff's office, claiming he had discovered the scene earlier, but time was already critical. He gave statement that were late, proving false, creating a web of contradiction that complicated the investigation for years. Abbott claimed he had grabbed Michelle by the waist through the driver's window. Yet, there was no blood on his clothing. He also reported seeing a white car leaving the scene with 2 Hispanic men inside, but he repeatedly changed his story in subsequent interview. Meanwhile, Dallas Butler, who had driven past the exit ramp around 1h du matin, provided a crucial eyewitness account. He reported seeing 2 vehicles, a dark sedan and a light Ford truck, in the driver's seat of one car, he noticed a young woman with her head bowed, showing no visible injury. Nearby stood a man in a red hat who appeared nervous. And when Butler offered assistance, the man quickly pushed him away. Evidence at the scene suggested this was an intensely personal attack. Someone who knew Michelle carried out the assault, returned her to the car, and took nothing. But why would anyone want this bright, promising nursing student dead? And why go to such extreme length to ensure it? As the sun rose over Banton that Sunday morning, police realized they were facing more than a random act of violence. Yet, they couldn't force that their quest for justice would soon be marred by wrongful conviction, lost evidence, and a killer who would remain Free for over 30 years. By 1994. Pressure mounted to solve Michel S. Murder. The small town demanded answer. And law enforcement believed they had. Finally identifié the perpetrator. Joshua Kaiser, a 17-year-old from Illinois, would soon find himself at the center of one of Missouri's most infamous miscarriage of justice. From the outset, the case against him appeared questionable. Mark Abbott, the witness whose contradictory statement had already complicated the investigation, suddenly claimed that Kaiser was the person he had seen in a white car near the crime scene. This was the same witness who had initially reported seeing a dark-skinned Hispanic man. One look at Kaiser, a fair-skinned teenager, should have raised serious doubt about Abbott's credibility. Yet, the problem with the prosecution's case went far deeper. There were no fingerprint, DNA, or murder weapon linking Kaiser to the crime scene, leaving no concrete evidence to suggest he had been involved in the murder. The prosecution's case rested almost entirely on flimsy evidence. And the testimony of three men who claimed Kaiser had confessed to them while in jail. Experienced investigator know to treat jealous testimony with extreme skepticism. Prosecutor also alleged that Kaiser and Lawless had gotten into a fight at a Halloween party the week before her murder, a claim that added a chilling dimension to the case. However, when the party host was contacted many years later, she confirmed she knew everyone who had attended and Kaiser had never been there. In fact, there was no evidence that Kaiser and Lawless had ever met. The most damning piece of evidence presented at trial was a jacket belonging to Kaiser, which the police claimed contained blood that matched Lawless's tip. When the jacket was re-examined years later, the blood stain was revealed to be nothing more than tomato juice. But by then, the damage had been done. In February 1994, Kaiser was convicted of second-degree murder, despite having a solid alibi placing him 350 meters away in Cana, Illinois. On the night of the crime, the jury, persuaded by what appeared to be a strong case presented by experienced prosecutor, sentenced him to 60 years in prison. Joshua Kaiser began serving time for a murder he didn't commit at just 17 years old. He was assigned to cell block 99 inside the Missouri State Penitentiary, a facility infamously dubbed the bloodiest 47 acre in America. This prison, which had held James Earl Ray, the assassin of Martin Luther King Jr. Now housed an innocent teenager. While Kaiser adjusted to life behind bars, the real killer remained free, witnessing another pay the price for his crime. The jury had never been told that the prosecution had withheld critical information that contradicted their case. The three men who testified against Kaiser later admitted they had lied and claimed they were promised benefit in exchange for their testimony. Yet, it would take years for these revelations to come to light. In the meantime, Joshua Kaiser's youth and freedom were lost behind prison walls. His wrongful conviction didn't just steal an innocent man's life. It allowed Michel's true killer to remain free. Kaiser spent decades behind bars, but the truth about that November 1992 remained hidden until someone examined the case more closely and Uncovered the Flaw Death Ad Puant. Innocent Man in Prison. The Unexpected. Champion of Death Truth was Rick Walter. The Sam Reserve Deputy Who Had First. Discover Michel S. Body on Death. Horrific Night. Walter was elected Sheriff of Scott County in 2005, and had never been satisfied with Kaiser S. Conviction. In 2006, he did something. Few law enforcement officer ever. Attends. He reopened a case debt. Everyone else assumed was closed, even. For a seasoned investigator. What? Uncovered in the whole file was shocking. Buried among the evidence was an all. Notebook from former Sheriff Bill Frel. In which Frel wrote that he didn't believe Kaiser was involved in the crime. Yet in court, Frel had testified that Kaiser was guilty. The revelation that the very sheriff who had helped convict Kaiser privately doubted his guilt was significant. Even more telling were the admission from the witness themselves. One by one, the three. Un Matt who had claimed Kaiser confessed. Injay recanted their statement, revealing that they had been promised light a sentence in exchange for their testimony. Information the defense had never been given. Chantel Cridé, who had testified in court that she saw Kaiser and Lawless Argan at the Halloween party, later admitted she had been wrong. Walter's investigation also uncovered major problem with the physical evidence. Prosecutor had claimed that Lawless's blood was on Kaiser's jacket, but it had never been properly tested. When re-examined, it turned out there was no blood at all. Just the tomato juice stain that Kaiser had insisted was the case all along. Even more crucially, DNA testing of material found under Lawless's fingernail, which hadn't been possible. In 1994, would later play a key role in identifying her true killer. By February 2009, when Judge Richard B. Callahan reviewed the extensive evidence Walter had uncovered, the tide began to turn. In a stern 44-page ruling, Callahan noted that Kaiser had been misled and deceived at nearly every stage of the legal process. Joshua Kaiser was finally released after spending 6 years behind bars. In the end, the state of Missouri paid him $4 million to settle his civil rights lawsuit. But Kaiser's freedom did not signal the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Remarkably, he chose to give $10,000 back to the police to help in the search for Michel S. True killer. Walter's investigation not only freed an innocent man, but also sparked a renewed effort to find the person truly responsible for her death. Using modern forensic technique and fresh eyes, investigator re-examined the whole evidence and focused on someone who had been present all along with a far deeper connection to Michel than anyone had realized. Michelle Lawless's real story. Her tragic death and the clues hidden under her nail remained a secret for 32 years. Lynn Lamb, Michelle S. boyfriend of 3 years, had been part of her life from the beginning and witnessed an innocent teenager in prison for a crime he had committed. When police revisited Michelle's personal writing, they uncovered a startling revelation. Her diary painted a troubling picture of her relationship with Lamb, revealing a darker side beneath the seemingly sweet teenage romance. Scene of jealousy, power, struggle, and unpredictable mood swing. Modern forensic science would Ultimately confirmed 10 suspicions. The DNA recovered from under Michel S. Fingernail. The same evidence that had helped free Joshua Kaiser told Adaning. Story. In 2008, the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Lab analyzed the sample and found a direct match to Leon Lamb's DNA. This was not a minor trace. It was conclusive evidence linking him to the crime. The evidence suggested that Michel had fought fiercely against someone she knew well. Police also began to reconsider Lamb's earlier statement et claimed that Michel had visited him between 11h30 du soir and midnight on November 7th and that an argument had led her to scratch him. Lamb said she left his house around 1h AM. However, this timeline didn't hold up. Michel had already been seen alive at the exit ramp around 1h du matin and the travel time alone made Lamb's story impossible. A Detective Doug Dipper. They discovered that Lamb's controlling behavior hadn't ended with Michel's death. He had moved to Arkansas and started a new life, built pattern of manipulation only added to the gravity of the case. While an innocent man languished in prison, Lamb had lived with the secret of his crime for more than 30 years. Knowing he had killed Michel and allowed you to take the blame. He had carried that guilt silently, a hidden monster. In December 2024, everything finally converged. Armed with DNA evidence, witness statement, and a meticulously reconstructed timeline. Police moved in. On December 20th, Leon Lamb, then 52, was arrested in Conway, Arkansas. Michel's ex-boyfriend was finally being held accountable for the crime committed decades earlier. The 32-year span from murder to arrest highlighted every flaw in the criminal justice system. En overzealous prosecution sans the wrong man to jail. Witness lead under oath and evidence was mishandled. Yet, despite this failure, justice ultimately prevailed. Thanks to modern forensic science, painstaking investigation, and the unwavering determination of those who refused to give up on Michel. Ironically, Lamb had already left evidence of his crime back in 1992. The DNA found under Michel's fingernail. The same evidence and claim came from consensual intimacy, was ultimately what led to his capture. Modern forensic testing confirmed what detective had long suspected. The scratch were not the result of passion, but of Michel's desperate struggle to survive. Leon Lamb's arrest in December 2024 could have marked the conclusion of this 30-year saga. But true to the case's history, the story remains complicated. Now 52, Lamb is contesting his transfer from Arkansas to Missouri, where he face first degree murder charge for a crime committed decades earlier. Et remain in jail without bond, and this attend to delay the process are only temporary. Missouri prosecutor are fully prepared to present their case. Moving forward toward long overdue justice. They now have DNA evidence, witness testimony, and over 3 decades of accumulated proof pointing to the man who had been hiding in plain sight all along. While some claim that time will wound, the events of November 8th, 1992, continued to live deep scar in Benton, Missouri, that night claimed 2 lives in different way. Michel Lawless's bright future Was violently cut short, and Joshua. Kaiser lost 16 years of his youth to a wrongful conviction. The pursuit of justice and the truth never wavered. Could more thorough investigative methods have prevented Joshua Kaiser from being wrongfully imprisoned. 10. Cases a stark reminded that even decade all crime can eventually reach justice when persistence, modern science, and careful scrutiny converge. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post a crime case video every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.